So it's finally happened. A film has beaten Avatar's dominance of the box office worldwide. The Avengers Endgame has finally beat Avatar. Now, I wanted to explore real quick how we feel about this, if it earned it, and what this might mean for the future of cinema. What film could possibly beat Endgame? Now, mind you, before we even get started in this, I understand, I want to point out real fast, that if you were to include inflation, Avatar is still way ahead. Gone with the Wind would still reign dominance over anything else, a film that was released in 1939. I think it's made, they estimate, about $4 billion. We're at 2.7 here, so who knows? But what do you think of the fact that Endgame has finally beaten Avatar?
I'm not surprised after seeing the outpour for that movie and what people have been waiting for all this time. I'm not surprised that this happened. We're 23 films in the making over a decade. This was expected. I think you and I talked about this last year. You know, we didn't know how soon it was going to happen, but you know, there hasn't even been a promotional trailer for the ENDGAME DVD yet, and you know, people are still going in droves to see this movie. Man, it's not done.
There was speculation that there was one film that was going to beat it. It was going to be Avengers Endgame, almost by default. And we just had a recent conversation on your show, Dinner Time, where you talked about the fact, you brought up a good point about how Avatar was an original film, quote unquote original. They definitely took from a lot of other sources, but as far as it didn't have anything preceding it, it was an original property. And I think a lot of people just fell in love with the world and the visuals. In many ways, it kind of revolutionized 3D and started bringing people in horrors. I mean, for a little while, every film coming after that, they were talking, let's get another Avatar. Let's make another 3D movie. There's a reason why Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland made $1 billion at the box office. But Avengers did have 11 years of films building up to it. It was almost inevitable that the big, grand, I don't want to say finale, but it really did feel like a sort of finale would be one that would get a lot of attention.
This is definitely a finale. I mean, if this were a show on any one of those platforms, this would be, you know, that finale, because we lost a lot of people. There's no spoilers at this point. I think everybody should have seen it, you know, either on bootleg or other something. You know, you've seen this movie, but you said it. I mean, Avatar being that once in a life. So Jimmy Cameron, and I like calling him Jimmy Cameron because that's not his name. He does Titanic, which is telling a story that we all knew, and he makes a boatload of money. Then, you know, he does some docs, as you know, reminded me on Dinner Time, and then he comes back and he does Avatar and makes a ridiculous amount of money. And I want to show more love to that work. Because it was, I'm going to call it an original property. It was by itself. It was a standalone. It was the equivalent of Iron Man just making that much money by itself.
Which is insane that Iron Man, that the MCU technically started before Avatar came out, since it came out in 2008.
Right. If Endgame just comes out, it doesn't make the money that it makes.
It wouldn't make any sense.
It wouldn't. There's a lot that had to play in for that movie to be what it is. So
I take a look. DC tried to do that. DC tried to just almost like jump out the gate with Justice League. It didn't make separate films and all their other characters, and look how well that did.
It didn't, and now they're back at the drawing board again because it did. Look, if they were able to do what Marvel did, Superman isn't leaving. You're not having to replace your Batman and all that stuff because you would do what is necessary to keep your crew together. They mishandled the snap, and now they just got to say screw it all because they really dropped the ball on that one. All your sports analogies.
I'm almost willing to bet that if you go back to 2000s, before any of these cinematic universes existed, if you were to ask the general population about which film they'd be more excited to see, Justice League or the Avengers, most people probably would have said Justice League.
Justice League.
Exactly. But Marvel played it right. They built up to the original Avengers. I mean, from 2008 until 2012, it was a long-term plan. And they kept putting in seeds for what was to come. So they built up this tremendous anticipation amongst characters that we had fallen in love with and whose stories we followed. So it actually meant something. What I find, on an almost different subject, what I find to be kind of funny is we all know that Avatar 2, 3, 4, and 5 are coming out. Maybe they said they're good. They're working on 4 sequels. So I don't know. Get back to me when Avatar 13 comes out. But
right,
they're definitely going to be re-releasing Avatar at least one more time before the sequels, and I will just find it so funny. I want to see the Nerd Nation react to Avatar reclaiming the box office from Endgame and becoming a champ again.
No, so those purists will say rightfully so. You know, there are going to be some people that are glad to see Avatar back in that number 1 spot, and then there are going to be a whole lot of haters. So I look forward to that day so that we can talk about it here.
And nobody can say it's a cheat because it's a re-release, because a lot of the films today that we would consider some of the most successful films of all time, some of them weren't even successes until a re-release. Take a look at Walt Disney's Fantasia in 1940, just when Disney lost the entire European market. These films didn't become successes until the 60s and the 70s. Maybe because they had some properties in them that appealed to certain demographics at the time. Fantasia will amaze ya. Come on, that was a tagline.
I mean, Fantasia was trippy.
Yes, probably the greatest animated film of all time as far as art is involved. But that's something that we can talk about at a later date. A lot of these figures that we look at today, even Star Wars, even E.T., a lot of them are based on re-releases and so forth. So it's not exactly wrong to say that Avatar cheated to get it back, if that were to happen.
Well, I mean, at this point, I mean, a lot of people have Avatar. I mean, I've even got Avatar. I've got the extended edition on Blu-ray.
The Tails touching version. Yes.
Right. So, but I don't see everybody going out in droves like they did the first time, but enough people would go for it to take Endgame. The question is, how big of a hole is Endgame going to put Avatar in? You know, that's the question.
That's a good point, and I'll say this: Avatar, really, when it came down to it, like I said before, I think the biggest appeal about it, what made that film a success, were the visuals, and still to this day, discounting animation, still to this day, it is probably the best 3D experience I had in a film. It was extraordinary. The first time I saw it in a true IMAX theater in 3D. It blew me away. When I saw it on my regular television, a majority of that appeal washed away. I think a lot of people have nostalgic memories of that experience and will want to relive that experience, and especially with the inflated pricing of IMAX tickets and 3D tickets in general, even if they were to release it for 1-2 weeks, it's gonna beat it. I guarantee it. And Disney, now owning Avatar because they bought Fox, they're not gonna lose in this case.
No, because they're the king of the castle, no matter what.
It's free money to them at this point.
Absolutely, it is. They're playing. Look, dude, you're definitely playing with house money right now. The only way that I see Endgame having a shot is if they can get $1 billion to separate them.
You know what?
That's it.
This is what they should do. They should actually have a rivalry between these two films. Every 6 months, they release one, it beats the other, and then it'll just keep going back and forth
until people stop going. But as long as I got $6 on a Tuesday, I'm willing to go spend 3 hours to see Tony Stark's best performance.